Hey folks, did you know that Apocalypse Soon is on Patreon? For $5 or $20 you can support the show. And now, let's get into the show. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Apocalypse Soon, the Tree Podcast. We might die today, we don't know, but we're amongst the nature, risking it all for your entertainment. And here he is. Oh, he's a big risk taker. You better watch out. It's Eddie Pepitone.
Good morning, good evening, good night. Checkmate. We are Apocalypse Soon. We're here in the park. And it's been a hot few days, huh?
Yes, yeah. We delayed the recording time a bit because of the heat.
I'm glad we did. Kev wanted to go at 3, and we're here at 6, but we're in the shade. And it's very nice.
Yes, so I wanted to record on the surface of the sun. In the sun.
And I rejected that. Mm-hmm. And I said, let's push it back till 6.
I want to be out here like that. Who was it? George, the real bronze guy. He would always tan.
Oh, the guy who drives around L.A. advertising himself?
I don't know. He was a very old. He was an old actor, or he is an old actor. Mm-hmm. But yeah,
watch what you say here.
I know. I'm sorry. But I don't think he's around anymore. But I'm pretty sure his name was George something. But he would always have a mirror.
Yeah.
And like sunning himself. But
was he known throughout L.A. as the guy with the sun mirror?
I don't think so. But he would always be tanning. He was he was overly tan. I always bring stuff up I know a little bit about. I want to just kind of whet the appetite of the viewer.
Well, you were telling me a funny story, and before we get into a funny story, I do want to say that I've had I bought 3 smoothies.
You're on a tear.
I bought 3 smoothies, 2 for the wife, 1 for me, and I'm hoping everything is smoothed over.
Oh yeah.
And I just want to say that before we get into funny stories, I just want to say, I'm very aware of the horrors that are going on in Gaza, as is Kevin. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you're as on top of it as I am. I mean, but to me, and people are posting, the guys I like are posting about, AI is going to lead to massive unemployment.
Yeah.
And we still have, ICE looking like Nazis running around. I don't know what's going on, but I don't know what's going on with Iran. We bombed. What I'm saying is that the context of these funny stories, I get it.
Yeah.
That we are in a very dystopian time. You don't focus on that. I focus on it more than you. And it's, I just want people to know I'm with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm here.
You're here.
I'm here.
You're here all weekend.
All weekend. Yeah. No, I mean, there's a lot of people in struggles, and
there is, though. I mean,
all over the world, and it's brutal. I don't know. I don't remember the quote one time, but I used to get very, very overwhelmed by the weight of the sin of the world, or for lack of a better word,
Well, it's injustice.
Injustice. I mean,
and brutality,
the evils of the world, and get very overwhelmed. And the hard truth of it is that if I want to make a change, I could probably make a change in some areas of my life. But the most impactful areas I'll be able to make a change with is the people that are standing next to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so it's like, do I want to put all of my effort into this thing, and I'm not really motivated to do that. And then I feel really guilty, and then I'm like, oh.
Guilt is a useless emotion. Before coming on, we were talking about guilt.
Yeah.
Different behaviors that we do that lead to guilt. But the only thing you can do is kind of, forgive yourself.
Yeah.
And try to be a better person, whatever that is. I mean, we're mirth makers.
Yes.
Me and you spread mirth,
Yes.
like Nutella, right? Like Nutella spreads.
We lay it on thick, and people love Nutella.
We spread it on. Me and Kevin were in a show called Dressed at the Roosevelt Hotel. Very nice because we got in suits.
Well dressed.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
both looked very dapper. I was very impressed with your suit.
Thank you.
It was a plaid blue number. I was
Yeah.
surprised. Yeah.
Yeah, I went down to the fashion district and I tried
You
to
tried to get me down there.
Yeah, I was trying to get something fun, and so
That
I
was
got
fun.
I got that one and I got a velvet one that I'm going to wear the first time I host at the potluck. I'll wear that one.
When are you hosting Potluck? That's Comedy Store?
Yeah, I don't know.
That must be a big night. There's tons of people?
It goes both ways. Sometimes it can be crazy packed and be one of the hottest shows all week. But sometimes, it'll be, 3/4 full or, things like that. But
Is it in the OR?
yeah, it's in the OR, and it's a tradition over there since it opened to do that.
Wow. And it's like a showcase for people trying to break into the store.
Yeah, they pick 15 spots.
And the powers that be are usually there.
Yes, yeah, they pick
That's
15 spots random out of a bucket. There are some opportunities to win those spots. There's also, if the booker wants to see somebody, they'll put them there. And then there's right after, there's a friends and family show. So people that weren't randomly picked out of a bucket, that's where the door guys and everything goes up. And then after that show, Fraser Smith gets up and hosts, and that's where the paid regulars go up. So,
After Potluck?
yeah.
On Monday?
Yes, yeah.
It's a Monday.
And Sundays too. Sundays and Mondays
Are both the same format?
I believe they are. And for the paid regulars for those spots, I think you just walk up and throw your name down, and you tell them you're there on Sunday or Monday for the Fraser spots. And definitely on Monday. I'm not sure if Sunday is going that late, but
Fraser cracks me up. He's such a one-linery guy.
yes, yeah.
He's so he's like a throwback.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, he really is. Yeah, Argus too, man. There's a couple of guys. Argus isn't much of a one-liner as Fraser. 'Cause Fraser literally, he snaps after every punchline, and I love him, and his story is wild too.
Is it
Yeah, I mean, he was a big cokehead back in the day. He was
Fraser?
Oh yeah,
Or Argus?
No, Fraser. I don't know about Argus. Maybe Argus too, but Fraser definitely was. I talked to him. I interviewed him on a podcast that me and Bruce did years ago, and he told the story. He was as famous as Howard Stern at one point. It was like they were the dueling radio tycoons.
Was he out of Detroit?
No, he was here.
Okay.
Yeah, and he was on. He was telling us about he was coked out of his mind and drunk, and he was on some pleasure boat and throwing catering tables off the side of the boat in the middle of some harbor. And he, because I was like, what's one of the things that made you get out? And he's like, there's a lot of things, but that was one.
Get out
of
of cocaine.
Yeah. Stop. Become sober, essentially.
Yeah.
But yeah. That's why
He was throwing on a cruise.
Yes.
Throwing catering tables into the harbor.
Yes, it was some sort of.
Did he get caught?
Oh yeah, it was some sort of industry thing. He was being like a wild star, like an out of control diva, and just coked out.
Oh, because he was pretty big with.
Yeah, because he was at the height of his success.
I got to tell you, one of my funniest drunk stories was and I was smoking weed and drinking, and so I was waiting tables at the time in Manhattan. And by the way, when I tell this story, I'm very aware of the slaughter going on in Gaza, that the Israelis are funneling the Gazans to humanitarian aid stations and gunning them down. Mm-hmm. And it came out that was an order from the IDF. And of course, they're denying it. But anyway, I want that. So before I get into that funny story, I want to say that'd be funny if every comic, before they told a story, a funny story or their joke. But folks, before this next chunk about my dog, who's quite a character. I just want to let you know that I, know about all of the shit going on.
Yes.
But okay, so
You got to start with a land acknowledgement. Where you go, first off, I got to say this land was stolen.
This land is our land.
Before I got this, I got to tell you the story about my aunt who had a run in her stockings. It really cracked up the whole family, but
right.
We are on stolen land.
Right. We are on stolen land. So anyway, I was waiting tables in a nice restaurant. I got fired from the nicest places in Manhattan.
Yeah.
Restaurants,
You're no schlub when it comes to getting fired.
Right. And friends would get me the job. I was voted the world's worst waiter.
The world's worst reference.
Reference?
Yeah, if you get these jobs from your buddies, they're like, hey, you got to hire Pepitone. He's going to do great here. And then you get fired.
Yeah. Yeah, oh, look at this puppy.
Oh, he's so cute.
Looks like a Charlotte. God, Charlotte's getting old.
All right, so you're waiting tables.
Right. I'm waiting
hammered.
tables, and I smoked some weed, and I was stoned, and then I drank a lot that night. There were a couple of nights, and both nights led to me getting fired. But this one was in different restaurants. This one was, we had a big party. The whole restaurant was rented out for a big party.
Oh, yeah, those are good.
So they actually had all these waiters on, and I was supposed to, and I was one of them. But all I did the whole night was I stood at the end of the bar just yelling, "One Amstel." and the bar, everybody was a buddy of mine who I work with, and I would just yell, "One Amstel." And they just
over
they
and
didn't over and over, and especially when the manager came by. Like if a manager came by, there were a couple of managers, and they would always, I didn't move for it must have been like 4 hours, and I was going, "One Amstel."
For yourself?
Yeah, no, yeah, but there were a lot of people. Waiters were getting drinks for tables.
Yeah.
But I had decided I don't feel like working tonight.
Yes.
And to my head, there were enough people working, and there were, And,
yeah.
And I was able to do that. But then I got called into the office the next day. And that's, and I didn't have a leg to stand on, and he said, "You stood at the end of the bar." And I thought I was getting away with it. I was very high and drunk.
For 4 hours?
At least.
No way. Anybody's going to...
One Amstel. And it became a hilarious thing between me and a couple of my close friends.
Of course.
Who had gotten me the job. They were just dying that I was doing. And I was just, comedian. I was just doing it for the laugh.
Of course. One Amstel. So he let you go?
Oh, he let me go.
Did you try to defend
yourself? He goes,
yourself?
"I just want you to know that I don't know what you're doing here. You're a nice guy. You're a funny guy. But, you can't yell one ass." And I try to defend myself saying, I just constantly thought we were short an Amstel. And he said, "Please don't try to justify this behavior." So,
genuinely, sir, I thought we were running low on Amstel. I had the best interest of the restaurant in mind, sir, the entire night.
I never got the Amstel. I don't know. I think the bartender was very busy because I called for it for 4 hours.
And I'm in here getting harassed when there's a guy out there who could give me one Amstel Light all night for 4 hours.
And the guy I wanted to bring the Amstel got very upset. It was a customer who wanted the Amstel. It was very funny, so I remembered it. But I also knew that I was pushing that to the limit.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know?
Being the funny guy in the office, at work, that's not a comedy place, which I miss, by the way. I do miss being amongst the regular folks where I get to be the unhinged goofball, you know, because now I'm just amongst the other unhinged goofballs. But
yeah, it's tough. The competition is tough when you're hanging out with everyone who's yelling. If it's like comedians, it would be like 6 of us were yelling one Amstel.
Yeah, exactly.
Or a comedian would be like, I'd be yelling one Amstel, somebody would be yelling one Jaeger, and somebody would be yelling one Modella. But you were telling me a funny story. Tell that story, because I find it funny.
Oh, well, before I tell that one, because I'll remember. Yeah. I remember, so when I was at T-Mobile once, I was just a regular employee, just a salesman, you know, there. And my manager and my district manager were in the office. And I remember my manager pumping me up to the district. This guy, customer service. Wow. He is one of the best. And so I'm out in the front, and 2 of my customers who I've been working with for probably like 4 or 5 months. We're friends at this point. And it's an elderly black couple, probably in their late 60s, maybe early 70s.
Yeah.
And the lady comes in and she's got 3 head earpieces that are just like from really old phones. And she's like, I want to make this work on my iPhone or whatever. And I was like, well, I got to get a soldering gun for that, darling. And she's like, oh, I know you can figure. You always take good care of it. Like, oh, let me see here. And so then I go in the back and I'm looking for other earpieces to sell them, you know, or whatever. I'm like, we'll get you one that actually works. And we go in the out front and she's trying them on and they keep falling out of her ear. And like I said, I've been friends with these guys for a while. And she goes, well, Kevin, you tried your hardest, but there's, you know, apparently they don't make Bluetooth earpieces for folks like us. And I go, oh my gosh, I am so sorry. I've been bringing out Bluetooth earpieces for white people this whole time. And the husband looks at me and goes, what'd he say? And she goes, he said they're trying to sell us white people Bluetooth. And this guy starts dying. And then he's like, he
started laughing?
Yes, he's laughing so hard. He's going back to other people in the back. Do you hear what he's saying they're trying to sell us white people Bluetooth? And I'm dying. So I end up going, I find one that's just like over the ear. Man. My district manager sits me back in the back, goes, do you know what you did wrong? And I go, oh, yeah. Yeah,
you're supposed to be selling them black people Bluetooth.
Yeah. But it was like, because it was funny, I got away with it. But that, man, both of them, I look over, their mouths were just open, jaws on the floor. Great times. Great times.
Yeah. Because we're not corporate oriented.
No.
You know, we go for the laughs. It would be like if you're at a Shell meeting, you know, the stockholders, and we decide to play porn.
Yes.
During that meeting. And it would be like, well, what do you have, Montgomery, for this quarter? Fuck me!
Pull it out.
God damn, I love it. I love ramming it in and out of here. Now, Johnson, turn that porn up higher. We have had a great quarter. Let's celebrate with a little pornography. But, sir, we can't hear. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to start exploiting Peru. These people don't need to drink fresh water. Mm-hmm. Fuck me, fuck me, fuck me, fuck me, fuck me.
Don't worry about the poor people that were going to get killed from this. Look at the pornography. We will be showering you with cash just the way that this gentleman is showering this woman with his seed.
Backdoor. Now, we are approaching an all-time high with our earnings this year. Fuck me. Anyway, that's what it would be like.
Exactly. You know, it's the juxtaposition, you know, which is...
But anyway, so tell that... So I have a T-shirt that says, what is it? Bad decisions make great stories.
Yes. Well, I tried to microdose mushrooms.
Okay.
because we were talking about
A
microdosing.
Super Bowl party.
At a Super Bowl party, and I had done it. I'd been trying it for a couple of days, and I had done it successfully maybe 2 out of the 3 of those days. One of those times, I did it a little too much. At the Super Bowl party, I was flying. I was on my own spiritual journey.
So it wasn't you kind of didn't do a micro, because micro, you're not supposed to be flying. It's just supposed to be, a dosage daily.
Yes.
That just helps you cope.
Yes. So
Right.
I weighed out the amount, and then I ground them all up, and then I put them in little pills. So they were all supposed to be the same amount or whatever, which was the microdose amount. But it hit me hard. And I remember we were, because it was on this really nice patio overlooking the whatever. It was after the game, they had like a thing. And I just remember I had a friend that brought his girlfriend over. And I remember when I was telling you this story, I immediately already feel guilty. But she was wearing like a singlet, like a wrestling singlet.
A wrestling singlet.
Yes. She was wearing like a body hugging.
Was she attractive?
No. Not to me. She was a bigger girl. And I could not get over that this woman would wear that to a Super Bowl party, and that this guy would be like, check it out, boys. Look what I got here. But I was literally, I'd have this thought, and I'd sit and I'm tripping on mushrooms. I'm being blown away by leaves. Like I'm really just like impressed by the world. And then
you were getting leaf blown.
Oh yeah, big time. I don't tell my wife about this, but
Yeah.
I would be in like a riff circle, or people be talking. I'm eating chips, and then I'd see her again, or I'd see the guy again, and I would just get focused on him, and just be like, what? And I'd be like, and then I would recognize immediately, these are bad thoughts. This is not nice. This is judgmental. And I'd be like, you're such a piece of shit, Tinkin. And then I literally had to leave. I went down to the garage where we had just a couch. There was a couch down there, and I just sat on the couch.
Was this in Fresno?
No. This was
Hollywood?
in LA. Yeah, this was like, 8 years ago. I was trying to be cool too. That's the other. And in my
You're not
mind,
a sports guy. Did you care about the game?
No. I didn't. No, I couldn't even have told you who was playing that day.
It'd been funny if you would have. So you couldn't focus on anything but this woman.
Yes.
Inappropriately attired, very big woman, and you just kept staring at her.
Yes.
And then you would have an inner battle with yourself saying, there's no reason for you to be judgmental.
Yes.
Did you ever because I remember when I did mescaline one time, I just fucking laughed so hard that I was in a movie, and first I was crying because the end of the movie, a horse died. I don't remember what movie it was.
The never-ending story that happens.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What was that again? The
Never-ending story is the one where...
I wonder if that was the movie I saw. How many years ago was that?
Ooh, it came out in the 80s.
That might have been it.
It might have been it.
Anyway, a horse died at the end. And me and it was me and my friend Billy and his brother Mike, and me and Billy did mescaline.
Yeah.
And
it's a psychedelic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mike didn't. So he was sober. And me and Billy are crying. Which we never did. We were crying about the horse. And then we looked at each other and started laughing so hard that we left the movie theater on our hands and knees, crawling up the aisle. Like we couldn't even walk, and Mike was horrified. We were only about 17.
Oh, man. What a great time.
16, 17.
And no consequence. You guys didn't get arrested or anything?
No.
See,
I mean, we were looked at askew, a little cockeyed by...
I'm kind of blown away that you felt that it was okay to do drugs when there were wars going on in the Middle East at that time, and
yeah,
the Berlin Wall, was, there was a lot of There was a lot of stuff going on with the USSR at that time, and there
Cold
you were,
War.
not acknowledging it, just getting high on mescaline, laughing with your buddies.
Right. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's how my mind works. But if I let it go there, I can't do anything because there's somebody hurting. You know what I mean? And I will worry. When you hurt your back, literally going, oh God, really worrying about you, genuinely being like, this could be maybe.
I don't think you were as worried as me.
Probably not. No, probably not.
I by the way, am starting to feel better with the back, finally.
Well, that's
about
too
a month
bad.
later.
You were starting to get a lot of sympathy from me, so. But that's good. I mean, that it's finally starting.
Yeah. It's it still hurts to get up sometimes.
It's in the middle of your back?
Yeah, and the sides, like my rib cartilage. The sides. So, anyway, but that is getting better, Al, what's he talking about? Margaret, don't interrupt these guys. They're on a good roll. No, how am I interrupting when I am not them? Come on, Maggie. Maggie? What the hell is that, Al? Margaret, please. They're talking about mushrooms, mescaline. Did I understand that Kevin was obsessed with a woman in a singlet who was big, and then he would kind of attack himself? I mean, why would he attack him? He's got a religious background. And the Christianity thing, they hinge on guilt, Margaret. It's the Catholic Church, they really run a number on people. Al, that's why I don't want to go to prayer services with you. You're very rebellious. Margaret, I like the communion wafer. I know you do. But they don't have garlic parmesan, Al. You always want a garlic parmesan wafer. Did you ever have flavored wafer? Because what they're doing with wafers these days, crackers, thin crackers, which is what a wafer is, yeah?
We did it with pizza once. We did a communion with pizza one time. Pizza and Coca-Cola.
The priest did it?
Yeah, the pastor, yeah.
Or was this a rogue bunch of, what do they call the people who help the priest again? Altar boy.
No, we're Protestant. So there's no altar boys, there's no priests.
What is that? The Protestants are even stricter, isn't it?
No, the way we were, you didn't have to wear a certain thing, there was drums and rock and roll in the church. There was,
drums
spaghetti straps sometimes, we had to turn up the AC because women would wear scantily clad outfits. So they'd they'd crank up the AC so women would put jackets on.
So it wasn't just paying homage to a superior being. It was sometimes to get lucky or...
Oh, yeah. Dude, I remember, they would have to have, sermons about this is not just a place to come and meet girls, to the guys or whatever. But there was so many beautiful people there,
Well, that's where the beautiful people of Fresno.
That's right.
And by the way, if you ever have seen People magazine, the Fresno edition, where farms are, farmland, and what temperature? It was 90 here the last couple of days. What is it in Fresno?
Oh, it's probably well over 100.
Well over 100.
Yeah.
I don't know how, and you were kind of used to that.
I was cranking AC. We were sitting on ice blocks,
Sitting on ice blocks.
Yeah. We did all kinds of stuff.
Now, sitting on ice blocks sounds very old-timey.
Oh, yeah. It still works, though.
To me, the best way to cool off is rain, and the rain came down. And the rain, I was driving my Uber Eats, my DoorDash, my Instacart, my Bloodmobile. That's right, I used to use my car for a Bloodmobile. I would have plasma in it. Plasma hanging. Most people put their dry cleaning in the back seat, but I had plasma hanging off of the hooks in the back seat, and the rain would come down. It was when rain was a thing in Los Angeles. There's no more rain anymore, but when it rains in Southern California, man, it pours. Man, it pours. It never rains in Southern California, but man, it pours. And I remember this one day I was delivering plasma to St. Luke's Hospital. There had been 4 people who had crashed into the side of the mountain, and they were obliterated, but they still wanted plasma. And I'm like, why do you want the plasma? They were completely destroyed, hitting the side of the mountain. And they were like, just get it to us. You getting paid either way. But the rain was coming down so heavy, heavier than a woman in a singlet at a Super Bowl party. This rain was smashing windows. It would hit my windshield. The raindrops were like 1,000 tiny fists of small people just bashing my windshield, and I had plasma. It was very rich blood to be taken to people who had been obliterated in the side of the mountain. I don't know what they were going to, maybe they were going to pour it on cake. Who the hell knows what goes on at St. Luke's Hospital? All I know is that I was getting paid, and that rain, it was so steady. It was like a steady relationship. The rain was not seeing anybody else. The rain would just come down in a steady, steady fashion, and everybody I knew was rooting for me that day. I had so many friends saying to me, get the plasma to these victims. And I was like, God damn it, there's no plasma. There's no victims that are alive. And they were like, how do you know one person didn't survive? Have you seen the wreckage, I would say? And this was all, back then there was no Bluetooth. There was no Bluetooth. There were no cell phones. We would just yell it out of the car to each other on the side of the road. But the rain was so heavy, I couldn't see what was in front of me. I couldn't even see my nose. And anyway, I finally got to St. Luke's Hospital because a Sherpa took me. A Sherpa from Tibet, who I had hired on an Everest tour, was able to help me get... He stayed with me after Everest. I never got to the top of Mount Everest because of rain. The rain on Everest sometimes would immediately turn to icicles. Icicles that would just jab into you like Joe Louis in his early days. Jab, 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 jab. Like Muhammad Ali. Ali had such quick hands and quick... Anyway, I'm getting off topic. The rain fucking smashing down. And I finally got the plasma to St. Luke's with the help of my Sherpa friend Anut. And that's all. He had one name, Anut. And boy, did he like to fool around. Once Anut had 3 or 4 margaritas in him, he would take people on wild goose chases up Everest. He would wait until they had, oxygen sickness, and then he would say, okay, we're not going up anymore. We're going to go to bar. And I was like, Anut, why are you doing that to people? And he was like, I like to have fun. And I was like, where are you from, Anut, with that crazy accent? And he was like, I'm a Sherpa. There's a pretty doggy. Hi, Miss Waggy. Oh. Look at that tail wagging.
Oh, cute.
Hi, I'm in the middle of a drive-in in the rain. Hi, baby. Oh, you're pretty.
You're so...
What's his name? Mia. Oh, it's Mia. I remember Mia. Oh, my God, that's Mia. I knew that dog when she was a little puppy. I did.
I'm sorry. Watching people walk by during the driving in the rain, just going.
Anyway, we'll pick that. I'll complete that driving in the rain on the next podcast.
Okay.
And I was thinking maybe that's a way to get people to tune in on the next podcast is we leave a bit like a cliffhanger, like the Shell executives. We're like, ram it in my ass. We had the greatest earnings.
Join us next week
for the conclusion
I like
of the Shell oil pornography meeting.
I like that. I was thinking, because you were saying the other day that the idea of doing voices on stage, you wanted to do that. You could get on stage and literally go, I want to tell you a story about my friend Anoop, or anything. And because you're able to just kind of go, and you slip into these accents when you're telling a story about something else that's just made up.
Right. And I would have to make sure the accents aren't offensive.
Well, that's a downvote for me. I want more offense. I think at your age, you can really get away with it.
At my age, I have to be careful what I eat. What were you going to say?
You can get away with it. I say go up there, do black guy voices, Indian voice, start talking bad about women. Oh, by the way, I was thinking, so you were telling a story about Joey Lewis.
Joe Lewis. The boxer.
Do you know about Joey Lewis, the stand-up comic from like the 30s?
Yes, he ripped off Joe Lewis.
I just read about
Joey Lewis
in the history of comedy.
Joey Brown, I think.
No, there's a guy named Joey Lewis.
Not Jerry Lewis.
Not Jerry Lewis.
Like, lady,
I'm a lady. Come on. No, he. It was back when all the comedy clubs were run by the mob. And he was doing a gig at one spot, got asked to do a gig at another spot. Mm-hmm. That was a big no-no. So they went to his house and cut him from his ear all the way down to here.
I think I remember that
It took him 2 years to learn to talk again, but he didn't finger the mob for what they did to him. And so then he was just a made man. The mob couldn't touch him. And he had this hit for the rest of his career.
Why was he a made man?
Because he didn't squeal even though they tried to kill him.
Oh.
Yeah, he went to a competing mob boss's club, and the original guy didn't like that, and so he sliced his throat. But the guy lived.
Wow. I've heard that story. That is so fucking wild. And it took him 2 years to learn how to speak again?
Yeah.
Did he make a comeback?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he had a better career after that. Pretty wild. Wow. There was one story in there about Sammy Shore, the original purchaser of the Comedy Store, who
owns it now? It's not Sammy Ritchie?
Not Ritchie.
I thought it was Sammy.
No, it's one of the other brothers.
Okay, whatever.
But the father, when he was doing some show at a mob-owned spot, and one guy pulls out a pistol and blows the other guy's head off in the middle of a show.
At the Comedy Store?
Not at the Comedy Store. This was at some mob-owned club way before the store. And
Ciro's.
What he says is, he goes, people were screaming and everything was wild. The only thing I could think to do was pick up my trumpet and start playing.
Well, people react differently in
Yes.
stress. Like I remember there was this one guy when the Twin Towers came down, all he did was play his sax for hours. He was on the 58th floor.
You can't judge people for the way they react to
tragedy.
It's really, it's their own journey,
My uncle died, and the only thing I could do was masturbate until I was bleeding.
I mean, we all.
And I didn't even know him that well.
Wow.
He was like once removed type of thing. Now that's an interesting plane. That's not a regular plane, is it?
No, that's like a little private plane.
Is that a private plane?
I think so. Yeah, that's a tiny little.
I always get a little weirded out when I see a military plane. I haven't seen them lately.
Yeah, no, you'll see them over by San Diego a lot.
Because they have a military base.
Yeah,
is that Fort Bragg? What is that?
I think it is Fort Bragg. I'm not sure.
Bragg, I tell them.
Yeah,
You know?
Take it easy. Have your little humility, Fort Bragg.
They're always like, where you from? Fort fucking Bragg. That's where. Where do we? And I'm like, take it easy, Fort Bragg. You know? I'm
man.
Fort Humble. Folks, these just write themselves after a while.
They really do. No, you got to listen to this book or read this book. I think you would get an absolute kick out of...
What is it?
It's called The Comedians, The History of Comedy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've read it. Who's the author?
Cliff Nesteroff.
Yep, I read it. And that story was in it, so that's why I remember that.
Yeah. That's how a lot of stuff is. People will be like, "Did you ever finish Fargo?" And I'll be like, "I don't think I did." And they're like, "Well, we're all right. Well, this." I go, "Oh, that's right. I did watch 32 hours of that, and I totally forgot."
Yeah.
No, but I'm getting a kick out of all the old school stuff.
It's great stories.
Vaudeville and
that's what I love, like the real old timey shit. Like I've read W.C. Fields' biography, which is wild. Do you know that he was so wild about he didn't trust anybody. He had bank accounts all over the country. He had like 50 different bank accounts with different amounts of money.
Just in case.
I don't know, it's just crazy. But he was a lunatic. He used to like to get loaded up.
Oh, yeah.
And he lived in Toluca Lake.
Really?
Yeah, right over here. And, the gated community. I don't live in a gated community. The gate here in our community was overrun by the masses.
That's right. Well,
an Uber driver drove through the gate.
Yeah. The W.C. Fields, like the old timey guys, like for better or for worse, but the no accountability, the shit these guys would get away with.
Oh,
and the stuff, the way they would treat people is just it's astonishing.
They also had to work their fucking asses off.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I was reading about they would always have to take these ridiculous train rides.
Yeah.
They traveled by train then, it just reminds me, I feel like I should pray for some dead celebrities.
I think
now.
You ought to.
And we'll wind it up at this one.
I think that's perfect, yeah.
Okay.
And now, join us for another moment of spirituality on Praying for Celebrities with Eddie Pepitone.
Dad?
Yes, son?
I've been thinking about the old-timey celebrities like the Marx Brothers and W.C. Fields.
Oh, yeah. You've been doing a little reading in Dad's library?
Yeah.
Well, that's good, son. That's good.
Well, I was actually trying to claw my way through the wall to get out, but you have everything so bolted up here.
That's right, son. I've got everything you need right here.
Why is Assmaster written on the side of the house again?
You know what? I'm going to bring up an old LP, and I'm going to show you my old band, Assmaster. And we went through a lot of different name changes. But
anyway,
Assmaster,
Dad, can I pray for some dead celebrities?
Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's get you tucked in here, buddy. Let's take your shoes off.
I'm tired.
All right, let's put your sleeping cap on here. All right, now let's get you tucked in. Oh, get tucked in tight there, buddy. Okay. All right.
I'm tired, Dad.
Yeah, I know. Well, let's get these prayers.
It's been a long day trying to escape.
I know, but you're all tuckered out now. Your little fingernails got little bloody marks on them from all the scratching. Let's go ahead and put your head on the pillow and say a couple of prayers for some celebrities, son.
God, please look down on the Marx Brothers. Groucho especially, he had like 6 wives and they all took him to the cleaners, but I guess that's what you get when you're a misogynist. But God, Groucho made a lot of people laugh, and he never retained a lot of that money from the $60,000 question. And he had a very good wit. And please look down on Harpo and Chico. Now, Harpo was universally considered, help me, I'm caught in a cabin. They never hear me, the planes, Daddy.
No, they don't. Now let's keep talking to the Lord, all right?
All right. So please, I know that Harpo's resting peacefully because he was universally considered to be a nice guy, but Chico was an inveterate gambler, God. And why do show business people in general, why do they have to suffer so much with addiction? I mean, look at Puff Daddy. Now, I don't mean to bring Puff Daddy up again, God, because I know I'm talking about dead celebrities of the past, like W.C. Fields, who used to beat geese. I think geese is the plural of goose.
That's right, son.
Thank you, Dad. You know, even though you're kind of, controlling with the fact that you've locked me in this cabin for a few years, you have a very nice way about, you have a good bedside manner, Dad.
No, I appreciate that, son.
Anyway, I want to pray for Chico Marx and W.C. Fields, who would get so drunk and hit these innocent animals, but nobody said anything to him because he was very, very rich, Dad. And I want to pray for Irving Thalberg, who ran the studio, who ran Paramount. I think it was Paramount. And he had terrific taste, but he was, a lot of people thought maybe he was a homosexual. And back then it mattered. I mean, but Thalberg, I believe Thalberg was one of the people who told Judy Garland, by the way, Dad, God, I mean...
It's all right, son. Take a deep breath.
Okay,
the Lord hears your heart, even if you don't say it right. He knows what you're trying to say.
No. God, you're good, Dad.
Hey, I love you, son.
I don't know. That's debatable, but anyway, God, I looked down on Judy Garland and her daughter, Liza Minnelli. Did she die? I think so. She should be dead if she's not. Anyway, Dad, if you could please look down on those two. They were, again, celebrities addicted to pills and booze, and the studios. Irving Thalberg made Judy Garland take pills.
Mm-hmm.
And please look down on Harry Cohn, who ruled the studios with an iron fist. Harry Cohn, and I think he was hooked up with the mob. And look down on Bugsy Siegel. Please look down on Bugsy Siegel, who was known to brutally beat people who called them Bugsy. I mean, if you accidentally call a man by his nickname, you shouldn't have to then, fight for your life in an emergency room. Okay, Dad.
In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
Thanks for joining us on another Praying for Celebrities.
Well, that's our podcast
That's
today.
pretty good. Any closing thoughts on,
I don't know, man. I just hope that we get through this fucking authoritarian regime, that we start fighting back more. People are resisting the Nazi ICE administration.
Yeah.
The veil's been lifted on Israel and all of the horrific shit going on around the world. People don't fall for the usual narratives, but it's going to be scary, dude.
Yeah.
With AI, and the massive unemployment. They want to replace truckers now with fucking driverless cars,
We'll
driverless
see.
trucks,
Yeah.
and then unloading it, it's robot,
Yeah.
unloading, and pretty soon they're gonna have robots eating the goods,
Oh, eating, yeah.
What are we gonna be doing?
Pretty soon I'm going to be replaced by a robot,
It's just me next to this little red light.
Mm-hmm. Just some guy go, what did he do? What did he do? He said, good point. Every once in a while, he go, good stuff. We could get a robot to do that for nothing. But yeah, well, hopefully we are here, and in between your bouts with fighting the good fight, you're entertained for a little while here at Apocalypse Soon.
Yep.
And if you just got to have more, or you got to get this podcast, the video version the day it comes out, go over to Patreon, where you can throw some money at us, and and we look at it. We look at the number, and sometimes it goes up. Sometimes it goes down, but it definitely affects us emotionally.
Tough times out there,
Yeah.
We're not raking it in. Let's say that. It isn't Theo Vaughn money.
Not even
we're
close. No. I will say
it might be Theo's brother, Jack Vaughn.
He's not doing that great, I think, but he's only got 25 people on Patreon. So.
Right.
But I will say Theo did leave 3 Coke Zeros at the Comedy Store for the staff, which was pretty nice. Which you don't get a lot of those big-time celebrities do that.
Yeah.
But go subscribe on YouTube, Patreon. Go over to EddiePepitone.com. You can find out when he's coming to your town. Go subscribe to both of us on Instagram and X and all that good stuff.
All right, everybody. Thank you for watching listening to Apocalypse Soon, the podcast with no upside.